Okay, let's paint a picture. It's 7:58 p.m. You've got the snacks ready. You found that perfect, comfortable spot on the couch.
All set.
You are ready for one of the biggest matchups of the NBA season, Lakers versus Bulls. You grab the remote, you hit the power button, and then just panic.
Is it the spinning wheel of death
Mm.
or the dreaded content not available message?
The black screen of doom.
Yeah.
It's that sudden realization that you actually have no idea where this game is being broadcast. It's the modern sports nightmare.
It is.
We're not just talking about a basketball game today. We're talking about navigating, a technological minefield just to watch a ball go through a hoop.
It really has become a second job, hasn't it? It used to be so simple, Channel 5 or Channel 7. Now sports broadcasting is this fragmented, chaotic landscape of regional restrictions, streaming rights, blackout zones. It's a logistical puzzle.
Exactly. And tonight, January 26, 2026, that puzzle is front and center. We have the Los Angeles Lakers, we have the Chicago Bulls, high stakes, playoff implications, but, none of that matters if you can't find the feed.
Right. So our mission today is simple. We are going to be your guides through this mountain of modern broadcasting. We're getting you from where is it to I'm watching it.
And we need to, because looking at the breakdown for this specific matchup, missing the tip-off is just not an option. The rosters are loaded with star power, and both of these franchises are sitting on massive playoff expectations. This is January basketball, which means the narratives are really starting to set.
It feels heavy. There's a certain weight to this one.
Absolutely. And a lot of that weight, it comes from the venue itself. We're heading to the United Center in Chicago.
The house that Jordan built. It's funny. People always talk about historic arenas like Madison Square Garden or the old Boston Garden, but the United Center had developed this very specific, almost intimidating aura over the last 30 years.
It has. And it's not just the banners hanging in the rafters. Those certainly help. It's the acoustics. It is consistently rated as one of the loudest arenas in the entire NBA.
It's a massive bowl, and when the Bulls are making a run, that noise just comes down vertically. It's oppressive for a visiting team.
That's such a key point for you, the viewer at home, too. Broadcasts sound different depending on the arena. And when you watch a game from the United Center, the audio mix is it's thicker. You hear that roar. It really translates through the speakers.
It does, and that creates a completely different viewing experience. You feel the momentum swings more viscerally than you do in, say, a quieter, more corporate arena. So if you manage to find the stream, you're in for an auditory treat. It's iconic.
Okay, so we have the Where Chicago, we have the When 8:00 p.m. Eastern. And let's be real, if you're a sports fan and you still need me to explain that 8:00 p.m. Pacific, we have bigger problems.
We're going to assume you've mastered the clock by now.
Exactly. I want to get into the messy stuff, the stuff that makes people want to throw their remotes through the wall. Let's talk about the regional divide, because this is where the old world of cable collides with the new world of streaming, and usually the fan gets crushed right in the middle.
It's the primary point of friction. Here's the reality. If you are physically located in the Chicago market or the Los Angeles market, you are subject to the rules of the regional sports network, the RSN.
The dreaded RSN. Okay, explain this concept, because I think people hear regional sports network and their eyes just glaze over, but it's actually the reason they can't watch the game half the time?
It's really just simple economics. A team like the Bulls or the Lakers, they sell the exclusive rights to broadcast their games to a specific local channel. That channel pays the team hundreds of millions of dollars for that privilege.
Okay.
In exchange, they want to be the only place you can watch the game within that geographic area.
So they've paid for a monopoly on my eyeballs.
Effectively, yes. They are protecting their investment. So if you're a traditionalist living in, say, Lincoln Park in Chicago or Santa Monica in LA, and you have a cable subscription, you are actually in the best position.
Really?
Yeah. You just find that specific local sports channel on your guide, and you're golden.
Which is great for the people who still have cable boxes gathering dust in the corner. But let's be honest, that demographic is shrinking. What about the rest of us? The cord cutters, the people who think coaxial cable is an exhibit in a museum.
This is where it gets complicated. So if you've cut the cord, but you still live in that local market, you can't just sign up for any random streaming service. You have to find a live TV streaming provider like a YouTube TV, a Hulu Live, or Fubo that specifically carries that regional sports network.
And that is a constantly moving target, isn't it? I feel like every year there's a new contract dispute. One day your streaming service has the channel, and the next day they're in a negotiation deadlock, and poof, the channel's gone.
It's incredibly volatile. That's why you can't just assume, oh, I have streaming, I'm good. You need to verify today, before 8:00 p.m., that your specific provider actually has the rights to the Bulls or Lakers network right there in your area.
Okay, so that's the local folks. Now let's talk about the trap, the honeypot, NBA League Pass.
Ah, yes. The great promise of watch every game.
It sounds perfect. I pay one fee, I get all the basketball, I'm a Bulls fan, I want to watch the Bulls, I sign up for League Pass. But if I'm sitting in a loft in downtown Chicago and I try to turn on the game tonight via League Pass, what happens?
You get blacked out.
Which feels like a scam to so many people. I
Now-
paid you, why can't I watch it?
It goes right back to that RSN money we talked about. The NBA, as a league, they simply cannot undercut their local partners. If League Pass showed the game in Chicago, nobody would subscribe to the local Chicago channel.
The whole model would fall apart.
It would. The value of that multi-million-dollar contract would evaporate overnight.
So the blackout is basically a fence. It's a digital fence erected to force you back to the local provider.
Precisely. It's an exclusivity zone. If you are inside that fence, League Pass is useless for live viewing. It doesn't matter how much you paid for it, you are geo-blocked.
I just want to pause on that because it is so counterintuitive. We live in this world of content anywhere, anytime. Netflix doesn't care if I'm in Chicago or Timbuktu, but sports is the last bastion of geography dictating access.
It is the last holdout. And it's all because the economics of sports are still built on these local carriage fees. Until that model completely collapses, which, honestly, it might in the next decade, we are stuck with these blackout zones.
So who is League Pass for then, if it's not for the diehard fan living in the team's own city?
It's for the displaced fan. This is what we call the out-of-market advantage.
Okay, paint me a picture.
Let's say you're a Lakers fan, but you live in New York City. Or maybe you're a Bulls fan living down in Miami. You are outside the fence.
Right.
The local RSN in Chicago doesn't care about you because you can't buy their cable package anyway. So the NBA is free to sell you the game directly.
So, in a weird twist of fate, it is actually easier to watch the Chicago Bulls if you live in Manhattan than if you live in Chicago.
Then if you live in Chicago, technically, yes. In Manhattan, you open the app, you click the game, and it just plays. No cable subscription needed, no checking channel listings. It just works.
That is just maddeningly ironic.
It's a paradox of the modern era. Distance actually simplifies the logistics.
Okay, so let's take that distance to the extreme. What about the international crowd? We know we have listeners in London, Dubai, Tokyo. The NBA is a global game now. How does the equation change for them?
Well, in many ways, they have the best setup of anyone. The international version of League Pass is often the gold standard product.
Why is that?
No blackouts, or very, very few. Since there are usually no local U.S. regional networks protecting their turf in London or Dubai, the International League Pass usually gives you everything. Live, on demand, no content not available screens.
So the person watching in a cafe in Paris has a smoother technical experience than the guy sitting 2 miles from the United Center.
It's very likely, yes. But they do pay for it in a different currency.
Sleep. That's a fair trade-off, I suppose.
You have to respect the commitment of the European NBA fan. This game tips off at 8:00 a.m. in London. It's 2:00 a.m. in parts of Europe.
Oof. That is the zombie shift.
It is. But then you look at the Asian market, Manila, Tokyo, and it's actually a morning game for them. You're watching LeBron James while you eat your breakfast cereal. It's a completely different vibe.
I love that image. Coffee, toast, and a dunk contest. But this brings up a practical point for the traveler. Let's say I'm a Chicago native, I have my local subscriptions, but I'm traveling for work. I'm in a hotel in Seattle tonight. Does my Chicago subscription work, or am I now out of market?
It's a massive gray area, and it trips people up constantly. Technically, if you're using a streaming service like YouTube TV or Hulu, it uses your device's location services. If you fire it up in Seattle, it might just say, hey, you aren't in Chicago anymore. Here are the Seattle local channels.
And suddenly my Bulls game is gone.
It might be, yeah. Some services give you a grace period or let you say, I'm just traveling, but others will hard lock you to your current GPS coordinates.
So if I'm traveling, I might actually be better off buying a single game league pass because I'm technically out of market.
Exactly. If you're in Seattle, you are outside the blackout fence. So League Pass suddenly becomes a real option for you, even if you're a Chicago resident normally. You have to be fluid. You have to know where your feet are planted at that moment.
It's like we need a flow chart just to turn on the TV.
A flow chart would actually be very, very helpful.
Okay, let's synthesize this. We've covered the tech, the geography, the frustration, but I want to pivot back to why we're even doing this. Why jump through all these hoops? Why not just check the score tomorrow morning?
Because of the narrative. You don't watch live sports for the score. You watch for the story. And tonight, the story is incredibly compelling.
We mentioned the playoff expectations earlier. That's a phrase that gets thrown around a lot. But in late January, that starts to get very real. You aren't just playing for fun anymore, you're jockeying for seeding.
Right. Every loss in January feels like a panic attack in April. And when you look at these two rosters, the expectations are basically championship or bust. The media markets in LA and Chicago do not tolerate mediocrity.
And that pressure just cooks differently inside the United Center. We talked about the noise, but there's also the history of that building. The Bulls have a very specific pride about defending that home floor.
And the Lakers bring the circus wherever they go. They are the biggest show in town, every town. So you have this collision of the Showtime legacy, even the modern version of it, crashing right into the gritty, loud, defensive pride of Chicago.
It's a clash of styles and a clash of cultures, and that's why you want to see it live. You want to see the body language. You want to see how the stars react when the crowd turns on them or when that crowd erupts for them. You can't get that from a box score.
No. You need to see the frustration on a player's face after a missed call. You need to hear the specific cadence of the crowd noise changing when a run starts. That is the texture of the game. That's why we put up with all the blackouts and the login screens.
Speaking of login screens, let's do a final check. A sanity check for everyone listening. If you are hearing this and it is 7:30 p.m. and you have not verified your access yet, what are you doing?
You are flirting with disaster.
Don't be that person frantically resetting your password at 8:05 p.m. while the first quarter is slipping away.
And don't rely on auto login. Apps update, credentials expire. Open the app now. Make sure you can see the pregame show. If you can see the pregame, you can see the game.
That's the golden rule right there. If you can see the talking heads, you're safe. If you see a key icon or a subscribe now button, you have work to do.
And honestly, check your internet connection too. 4K streaming eats up a lot of bandwidth. If your kids are downloading a massive video game in the other room, you might want to pause that. You don't want the game buffering right as the buzzer beater is in the air.
That is the ultimate heartbreak. The buffering wheel at the buzzer.
It has happened to the best of us.
So, we have the logistics down, we know the stakes. I want to leave everyone with a thought, something to chew on while they're watching the opening tip. We talked about the venue, we talked about the noise.
The United Center factor.
Right. In a game with this much star power, where you have future Hall of Famers on the court, usually, talent wins out. Usually, the best players determine the outcome, but sometimes the building itself takes over.
And that is the question I'd pose to everyone tonight. When the pressure really mounts in the fourth quarter, what's going to be the deciding variable? Is it going to be the sheer skill of the Lakers superstars just taking over the game? Or is the United Center going to become that sixth man?
Can the crowd actually will the ball into the hoop?
I've seen it happen. I've seen that energy rattle some of the most seasoned veterans. The Lakers are used to the spotlight, but a hostile Chicago crowd, that's a different animal entirely.
It's going to be a fascinating tug of war. Talent versus atmosphere.
Yep.
Logistics versus the fan. Hopefully you're on the winning side of the technology battle tonight.
If you followed the guide, you should be fine.
Fingers crossed. Get your snacks, check your connection, and settle in. It's going to be a battle. Enjoy the game, everyone.
Enjoy the game.